ثالثا على محبة سيدة نساء العالمين بأعلى أصواتكم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على محمد النبي وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. القول مني في جميع الأحوال قول آل محمد صلوات الله عليهم فيما أسروا وفيما أعلنوا وفيما بلغني عنهم وفيما لم يبلغني. Respected brothers in faith, I want to begin once again by extending to you my deepest condolences on this tragic month, this tragic event, the event that burnt the heart of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The event that left a scar on history, on the mu'mineen, that left a harara that does not die out. Just like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said. We have pondered several interesting topics the past few days. And inshallah ta'ala today we're going to be touching upon a topic that's quite deep in terms of the content. And I believe if one were to discuss this topic deeply, profoundly, they need at least a month of every single day having a lecture and speech. Because it can be viewed on several horizons. It has that depth. But we will be touching upon the main points and concluding from there. Now we all go to school. We all go to some sort of university. We all work. And so as I mentioned in the first night, that we need the immunity. See, everything connects back to the point we discussed before. We need immunity, okay? So that when we're out there, any questions that are dictated to us, we can answer. One of the most important topics, one of the most crucial topics that we are asked nowadays, and you must all be prepared for this question because it will come one day, is, does Islam call for dominance of man? Is Islam a masculine religion? Is it a religion that gives man a higher standard and gives everyone else a lower standard? Now, some of you might ask this question, I'm sure, that this is Muharram, we need to speak more about Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the events of Karbala, and hand on heart, I agree with you. And I have inshallah 2-3 lectures during the end where we will be looking specifically at the journey of Imam Hussein from Medina to Karbala, from Medina, Mecca, Karbala, the ins and outs, the specifics, inshallah ta'ala. But the reason why I bring about these important topics is because we need them. Because we are in a society where the people around us don't have the same values and norms as we do. And so once they differ with us, they start to question. If we're not ready to answer these questions, then that's a big problem that we might face. So again, let me repeat the question. Does Islam call for dominance of man? The Quran says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. And a lot of people use this ayah, use this verse to push the notion that Islam is a masculine religion. Now let's go ahead and dissect this on the Quranic level. Are you guys ready with me? Let's go ahead. الرجال قوامون على النساء. قوامون means they have a level of responsibility, a plane of responsibility upon the women. So if you have mothers, my dear brothers, if you have mothers, there's a responsibility that you have towards your mother. For your example, if you're older and you're married, there is a responsibility that you have on your wife. Now, I'm going to be referring to my phone and to this because I have some sources, and I want this to be authentic, and instead of me just talking, I want to refer to my sources. Now, we discussed what does qawwam mean. Now, the ayah then transitions. It says, بِمَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. By what Allah has given favoritism to each of them on each other's. Now this ayah is saying that we have favored men over women in some aspects, and we have favored women over men in other aspects. And favoritism here manifests itself in responsibilities. So favoritism does not mean that they're more dominant and they're more superior. In the end, we're all humans. We're the sons of Adam and Eve. Right? We're all humans. But the roles are different. And then the ayah goes after بِمَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ وَبِمَا أَنْفَقُوا, and by what they spend from their wealth. If we look at this ayah inclusively, what it's saying basically is that men have a level of responsibility over women primarily. Secondly, a man has a responsibility towards a woman and vice versa based on financial spending and the financial means and the financial leadership. So nowhere does it call for dominance, evil dominance. That dominance where there's control and pressure. I was reading one of the studies on BBC. I believe you can search it up. It was talking about men compared to women in terms of resistance and strength. And it said that men, generally speaking, average, compared to the average woman, have a 44% stronger body compared to the woman. Now here's my question to you. When Islam came, it came after Jahiliyyah, the era of ignorance, where people reached the epitome of ignorance. I've said this before, they used to bury female infants just because they are female. Because they used to see them as a disgrace to their tribe or to their family. Look at the level of ignorance back then. Islam in such a society, in such an era, has placed protection for women and the leadership for women as a top priority. This is basically the manifestation of the ayah. There is no dominance like we understand, like it's pushed upon us in this society and in this time. Here's a question to ask yourself. In such a time where females were treated in such a manner, okay, where tribes used to tackle other tribes for money, for wealth, for power, do you think it would have been a wise decision? I don't want to say by Allah, astaghfirullah. This is an inappropriate way to put it. Do you think it would have been appropriate if Islam was established in a way where women took the leadership? Not because they don't have the potential, no. Today women, our mothers, our sisters, have the capacity of working from home, working outside, in an appropriate environment. Islam didn't give the leadership for one main reason. Because the environment and the era of that time does not have the potential to accept the women to be a leader. And if that were to be the case, they would have been severely and detrimentally affected. It would have been something highly detrimental. We have to connect things to the old era. Now you might say, okay, I understand. Islam placed leadership for men back then because of the era and the situation back then. We now are living in a time where maybe a man doesn't need to work. His wife can work, or his mother can work. If I'm 15 years old, 17 years old, and I'm living, let's say, with my mother, my father is outside the house, he's working, he's on a trip. My mother is working and I'm at school. Do the same laws apply? Can a woman become a leader? Yes, she can. 110% she can become a leader. Why not? Have you guys heard of Sayyidah Khadija? Salawatullahi alayhi. Do you know what Sayyidah Khadija was to Islam? Prophet Muhammad says, if it wasn't for these two, Islam would have not stood up. If it wasn't for the money of Khadija and the sword of Amir al-Mu'mineen Abi Talib against violence. Otherwise, Islam would have not been what it is right now. She was a leader. She was a leader next to the messenger and the representative of God. Imagine that. Islam gives a very crucial role for a woman. Never look at things in a very degrading manner. Now, what is the Quranic theory? Now we understand that there is no dominance that's in a negative way, in violence. What there is leadership. And in one era, leadership can be for men. In one other era, leadership can be for women. Right? Now, let's say we live in an era, and please pay attention to this, this is very important. Please, let me grab your attention, give me a high salawat. Let's suppose that we live in an environment where leadership is for men. And at the same time, let's suppose we live in an environment where leadership is for women. What does that entail? How does that apply itself? Are there any regulations? Basically, being a leader, what does that entail? Does the Quran have a theory for a family? Well, if the man was the leader, what should he do? How should he conduct himself? And likewise for a woman. Yes, the Quran has a great theory that is applied and established in few words. The Quran says in one of the ayah, at the end of the ayah, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. He has created upon you, He has established within you mawadda, love and respect, and rahmah, mercy. Our fathers, our established fathers right now, and those that will be fathers in the future, please listen to me. This is a message from your young brother. The Quran has set standards to be a father. Every single one of us will be a father in the future. Being a father means managing, does not mean pushing and forcing and enforcing and grabbing. Being a father means creating that gravity to your son to be coming to the mosque. Being a father means showing the respect, showing the love, showing the resilience in your family towards your wife in front of your kids. And likewise to you guys, showing the respect to your mother, showing the respect and the value that you hold towards your mother. This is called leadership and managing. I'm going to refer to some of the responsibilities of men towards women that pushes and endorses a healthy family and a healthy living family. There is if we refer to our hadith, we will see that the hadith pushes upon a few factors. Factor number one, providing for living. Listen to this beautiful hadith. Now, these are the things which we know, I'm sure. A lot of you know this by fitrah, by instinct. But sometimes we forget and we don't establish them. So our job is to have somebody to remember us, to remind us about these things. The hadith by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One must provide the food and clothing to his family members in the best of manners. Do you guys see any dominance in this? Do you see any evil tension? A man being the leader of the house and enforcing everything upon his family? I don't see that. In the best of manners. Yani you take your kids, yani you take your wife, for example, you take your sister, your mother, in a friendly manner, in a positive manner, in a loving manner, and you purchase something to them. The other hadith says, going to the market, this is by Imam, going to the market and buying 1 dirham. Dirham is the currency of that time. That's like dollars right now. Buying 1 dirham of meat which my wife desires is better than freeing a slave. So my brothers, when you go out with your father and your father purchases something that you like, chocolate, let's say, for example. You're shopping and then your father purchases something for you. Yes, you may consider that as part of your father's responsibility. But your father is doing the best he can to provide for you whatever you not only need but want, what you like, what you desire. How can this be appreciated? Sometimes in some of the households, a lot of people misunderstand leadership and they use dominance as an alternative. They start to hit, for example. There's a beautiful hadith by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I honestly like this hadith. I don't know why I like it, but it's very outstanding in my opinion. He says, Rasulullah says, I wonder about a man who beats his wife while he himself deserves to be beaten more. We have in some families, a brother hits a sister. A brother, now keep in mind that hitting, yes, it's something physical. But sometimes words hurt more than physical abuse or hitting or stuff like that. Sometimes words penetrate the heart, cause that ultimate pain. Nowhere in Islam, if you study from the beginning of Islam until even post the ghaiba, after the ghaiba, nowhere will you see that Islam pushes for negative dominance. Rather, it pushes for management. There was a hadith, I remember, by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, and guys, this is the value for those who are listening, my young brothers, this is the value of your mother and your sister. Because as we all know, when a young adult or a kid sees his father respecting his mother, or sees a healthy lifestyle between his mother and his father, he lives the best life. He is in his most immune state against anything that is surrounding him. While if he sees tension, then that's a door open to a lot of things. This hadith by our Prophet says, Allah Ta'ala sent Gabriel upon me, the angel, okay? And the angel started to talk to me about women and how we should be treating them, our mothers, our sisters, what kind of proper manner should we be practicing. They're sensitive, we must watch our words. He said, Jibreel spoke to me about women so much that I thought a ruling is going to descend and come down to say that you are not allowed to divorce a woman anymore because of her greatness. This is who your mother and your sister is. And this is how you should implement a healthy living family. Do you know what is a healthy living family? A healthy living family was manifested by Abul Fadl Abbas alayhi salam. A healthy family, today we remember al-Baneen salawatullahi alayhi. Al-Baneen is a great sacrificer. There is no equivalent to al-Baneen. She sacrificed 4 of her sons. And sometimes sacrificing your son is not something easy. But on top of that, she not only sacrificed her sons, she didn't even care about sacrificing them. Even after she heard they died, she didn't care. This is called moral virtues. Do you know why she arrived to such a state? Because how she was in her home and in her house, she was on a very high moral standard, which facilitated the path for her to be in such a divinely state. Do you know what al-Baneen used to do? al-Baneen is the mother of Abul Fadl Abbas. Abul Fadl Abbas is the brother of Imam al-Hussein. al-Baneen used to sit with Abul Fadl and give him teachings and rulings. O Abul Fadl, when you sit, listen to this. When you sit in the presence of your brother, be very careful. Don't crisscross. We have back then in the social norms, crisscrossing and sitting like that is considered less appropriate. You have to raise one leg and put the leg under the other and sit like that. He told him, she told him, never crisscross. Never sit next to your brother. Listen to these guys. Your older brother, Imam al-Hussein, never sit next to him. Don't be on his level. Be behind him. Your brother, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, don't be over him. Abul Fadl Abbas was known to be very tall. When he was on the horse, some sources say when he was on the horse, his legs were touching the ground. He was this tall. She told him, when you sit in the presence of your brother, try to lower yourself out of respect. Now some of you might laugh, might say, come on, how does that even link to respect? It's because we haven't ingrained these moral teachings and values in our hearts. That's why we see them as awkward and foreign to us. They are not foreign. They are part of what Islam is. But we, unfortunately, are way behind. And it's time to begin catching up. These moral values and these moral teachings have resulted in Abul Fadl Abbas to sacrifice himself at a time where everyone betrayed Imam al-Hussein. Some sources say Imam al-Hussein had a brother named Umar or Amr who was in Basra. Imam al-Hussein wrote to him a letter saying, dear brother, I'm going to be heading out against the tyrant Yazid. Join me. His brother rejected. While everyone rejected him, even this brother, Abul Fadl Abbas stood and handled the pain of having an arrow in his eye. Can you guys imagine that? Right now, if a small hair goes into your eye, you're going to start rubbing it, it turns red, you go, you wash your face, you put some water. Imagine the pain you would feel if an arrow from far away enters into your eye. Can you bear that pain? It's not something that we can even speak about. Because only the person who feels it knows it. I want to conclude by saying Islam is a religion that calls for proper leadership and management. And this is a connection. When we grow in a family, in a society, in an environment where my mother, my father, my sister, myself govern ourselves in a proper manner, then we can begin creating personalities like Abul Fadl, right, brothers? We can begin creating personalities like the Ansar of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this great day by al-Baneen to hasten the reappearance of Mawlana Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman and to help us be one of not only the close companions of them, but help us sacrifice whatever we can for their sake. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.